Welcome back, everyone, to the British Masters Championships preview series. And this time we have another international guest joining us all the way from Spain. We have Antonio Alves. Antonio, how are you?
Hello, I'm good. How are you, Justin? Thanks for inviting me.
I'm very well, thank you. Maybe because the British weather is trying its best to emulate the Spanish weather for a change. So we've had a few days of sunshine. Uh,
Fantastic.
Maybe at the time of releasing this, that won't be true, and it will have rained the last 3
Who
days.
knows?
But at time of recording, it's sunny in England. One of those rare occasions. Antonio, first of all, the question I have to ask our Masters athletes, I apologize, but how old are you and which age category are you competing in?
I'm at the moment I'm 2 months short of being 55, and I'll be competing. It will be my first competition in September on the new age group, 55. So I'm now 50. I'm still 54, so I've got 2 months to go.
So you're going to be moving up into a new category.
Yeah,
You'll be one of the quote unquote young ones.
yeah, I'll be fresh.
Are
Now I'm
you
knackered
looking?
as a 54.
Yeah. Are you looking forward to that? Are you looking
I
forward to
am. I
being one of
am.
the young ones?
Yeah, yeah. The experience I had 2 years ago was brilliant, and I really want to go. So
Brilliant.
it's
So you've mentioned that you did it 2 years ago.
yeah.
I'm really intrigued to know how you came across the British Masters Championships all the way over in Spain.
I compete quite a lot internationally. To be honest, I hardly compete in Spain because there's not very good events here. People don't take it so seriously, and I've been competing for a while, and I can say that maybe 90% of the people that I know in the CrossFit world are from England, just through contacts. And then I think it was maybe Kelly or Robert Walker told me, "Oh, it's a nice competition in the South, a nice fancy name, the British Masters Championship. Oh, that sounds really good." And then Kelly and I think we both compete in the French Throwdown the week before, and then we thought, "Oh, that's going to be a bit hard. We're going to be battered." I said, "No, we just go anyway." And I was so exhausted, but it was a lot of fun, and that's why I heard about it. And then we just sort of get your friends to go, and I had friends coming from Holland and from the north of England and from London, and it's sort of a way of me to get in touch with the people that I know from the CrossFit world and from before that as well. So.
What I really like is it was the name that got you. That's it had a
Was,
fancy
I
name.
admit, yeah, fancy
And
name.
I mean, like I'm someone who, and I've said it probably every interview, I don't compete. So the idea of doing a competition after another competition,
Yeah,
and be like, well, we'll just go and give it a go. Why not? Is
why not?
very impressive. Where else then have you competed? You're saying you've competed kind of all
Um,
over.
God, I think I've done all the major competitions around Europe. I've been competing now for almost 9 years. I've been involved in CrossFit full time for 10 years now. I've done World Wars in Cyprus Throwdown twice, Athens Throwdown, French Throwdown. Uh, what else have I done? The British as well. There was one I did in, I'm not mistaken if I was Birmingham or Manchester, the Battle of Britain.
Right, yeah.
I did, and I had on that one I had to enter the 40 plus, and I was 47 because there was nothing else around in those days. So I had to compete with the younger ones, and it was fun.
I,
Painful.
I mean, well, I know there may have been a comment dropped earlier off air about the weather. So
Yeah.
what's been your experience then competing in the UK compared to maybe some of these
Uh,
other events you mentioned that are quite nice climates to?
True. I'm used to the English weather because I lived there for a long time. From the age 17 until I was 38, I lived in London, so I'm used to it. I know you can have the 4 seasons in one day. So um, the big shock for me was when, because I haven't lived there for so long. We did the French Throwdown. I think it was mid-June, and it was boiling hot. It was one of the hottest weeks in France, and we had to compete over 3 days. And then the week after, we went to Brighton to compete. It was freezing. It was so cold, and it wasn't that cold for you guys, but it was cold for me. And we had to do a war. We were running outside and do something with sandbags, and it was not pleasant. And afterwards, it was fine. But yeah, it is what it is.
So like all the UK CrossFitters, tops off, you're
Yeah,
there in a coat.
yeah, with my beanie on.
So you
No, but it's
mentioned
fun.
you've mentioned that you're involved in CrossFit full time. So what is your background within CrossFit? How did you get started? What do you do?
In fitness, I've been in fitness all my life. I used to compete in fencing and gymnastics.
Wow.
Then obviously I had another career, and which ended last year, thank God. I'm early retired from that one. CrossFit came about 11 years ago, 12 years ago. I started training in Invictus in San Diego. With work, I travel a lot, and then when I sort of lived my life between Spain and Stockholm, I didn't compete. I trained at Nordic, and that's my base when Nordic was a very small, and Invictus as well, the very small boxes, and great community there. Now it's all these big boxes that we know, obviously. And then from then, I think it took me 3 months since I started CrossFit that sort of got me awake to compete again. Because when I compete in fencing, I stopped because of knee problems at the age of 18. So for all these years, yes.
I have a question for you about the fencing then. So you said you had a background in fencing and gymnastics.
Yeah.
Now I imagine that gymnastics has transferred over very nicely into the CrossFit world.
Yeah.
What about the fencing?
Fencing, God, hugely discipline. It's a very disciplined sport, and that for me, gymnastics as well in a way. But I sort of gymnastics for me was more fun than fencing. Fencing I took it very seriously, like I do CrossFit now. So I think also I'm a little bit of a control freak. So and fencing brings that in me. You're there on your own, and if you're not disciplined, you're not going to get anywhere. And with CrossFit, it's the same. I dedicate 3 hours a day for my training every day. I treat it like work. I'm lucky enough to have a good sponsor who gives me a contract, so I have their responsibility as well to keep my contract alive. And every year they remind me, the competitions that I have to do, things that I have to do to keep on my contract. So I'm very lucky to be a master and have a sponsorship, because unfortunately, as masters, the big names, they keep sometimes forgetting about us. So we also work very hard, or sometimes harder.
I think quite often. I mean, you're saying you're in quite a fortunate position that you're in, and I think you recognise that is quite a unique position for a masters athlete, because actually the majority, this is together with whatever other responsibilities they've incurred in life by the age of 40, 50, whatever it may be, which is quite often a lot more than a 25-year-old that is doing CrossFit.
No, absolutely. I think it's changing slowly. I think these companies, what they sort of realize, I mean, the whole image of other masters is changing slowly. When I started competing, for instance, there was hardly any competitions with 45 plus. It was either 35 or 40. That was a new thing. I remember the Battle of Britain, I had to go with 40 because there was nothing else. So when I started competing in things like the Turkish throwdown, I had to compete with 35-year-olds. I was already 45. So I wasn't winning anything, but I was getting there. I was fourth place, sometimes third place. But and I think that as the young masters now becoming veteran masters, things are slowly changing. Even in terms of the quality of the awards. They're a little bit too scared, even with the 40, 45 plus, to program gymnastics in finals, and now they do. With 50 and 55, which is great. Because and there has been for me one of my fears is that now that I'm moving to a new category, how scale they're going to do, because I'm going to be so bored otherwise. I still want hard awards, but my specialty, if you can say that, is gymnastics. So I don't want to lose that. But things are changing. In terms of sponsorship, I think companies are now opening their eyes a little bit more to us as well, which is good. I've a few companies, here in Spain, they offer me, cans of drinks to sell and make the money, and I don't want that. I take what I do very seriously, and people that know me in UK and those who compete with me, they know that I'm very serious about what I do, and also have a responsibility. Those who trust me, my boss trusts me. They're also my sponsor. It's my business, but they also sponsor me. And Crossmarks and LifeMarks, while my sponsors, they also trust me. So I have that responsibility towards them. So. Yeah,
I suppose then things like the British Masters Championships, it's a good opportunity for masters athletes to kind of show that they're there.
Yeah.
And so not just, oh, look, we're there and we'll compete, but it means that there's also a market there for masters athletes. And
yeah, absolutely.
And you know, I know for myself, like doing these interviews, it's incredibly impressive when I speak to some of the masters and like what they're able to do.
Yeah.
Is it's impressive in a whole different way to a games athlete that is, you know, this is my career and my focus and everything I do is for that. And it's like that's impressive, but it's not as inspiring because that's out of my league. Whereas another masters athlete is like, oh, if I actually worked hard and applied myself, I don't, but if I did, I could achieve that.
Yeah, I think what it is as well, I can speak for myself and those that I speak to, is that for us, that after a certain age, it gives me a purpose to train, you know, and I think it goes back to, you know, when I was young and competed fencing and gymnastics, you know, for me to get up in the morning and not knowing, just know that I'm going to train to be healthy. For me, it doesn't make any sense because my brain is not trained that way. So I had to, you know, now I know I have to train this month because the qualifier for the British Masters Championship is coming up. So I have to train really hard because it's going to be tough. It's only 6 places for the final, you know, to the competitions. And I think it's about 14 of us. So I can't be too relaxed about it. And so I have their purpose and I have the commitment as well. But if I don't have, you know, and that was one of the hardest things during confinement is that because we had no competitions for over a year, the last one I did was strength in depth. And there was the last one. And I was like, now what? I can't train at home. I'm going to be completely bored. I can go to my own box and train, but for what? Because there's nothing. So I think for us masters, it gives us that purpose as well. And it's inspiring. And that's one of the reasons that, I love going to the UK, you know, to other competitions where it's just masters, as same as the one I'm trying to go in September, is inspiring knowing that people that are older than me, you know, they're still kicking ass. There's a great atmosphere. I love the atmosphere there, honestly. It's, you know, when the awards are done, we all great friends and have a beer and blah, blah. But when we're competing. We mean business, you know, and you see someone who's 60 plus, 65 plus, you know, giving their best and, you know, kicking ass. It's really inspiring. And to be honest with you, I'd much rather spend my money, because it is also a hobby for us, and spend a nice weekend like that than going to a major competition when nobody talks to anybody and all we think is about the prize money, you know, and the great pictures we're going to take in the end, which is also good. But for me, the real soul of CrossFit, since the days that I remember when I started 10 years ago, is that, you know, things I see in the smaller box, and, you know, we all having a great time, and in the end, we're also competing, and yeah.
And I think especially with like the teens and masters championships, that spotlight is focused on you. So as you say, you can go to like a bigger event and they might even have a masters category.
Yeah.
And there might be a nice community maybe within those masters, but you're still just like a fraction of, you know, this is the real show, right? The real show of these guys, and you're kind of on the little stage to the side versus, no, this is for you. So I think if anyone turns up at a competition that is tailor-made for them, of course they're going to be more happy to be there, more involved, wanting to spend time with the other competitors.
I'll tell you a funny story about that. Well, I did this competition. I did twice, a few years ago. I don't think they do anymore, so I can mention them. Called the Alpha Games.
Right.
And this an amazing competition. It's fantastic. And they had one of these top presenters coming from America, blonde girl. We all know who she is, blah blah. And you know, and I know her, and she knows me, and you know, we also are in the CrossFit world. We are all good mates. But then you know, all the masters were competing, everyone done good work, and then when the last heat of the final came, and she announced, you know, 2 or 3 names, well-known names in the CrossFit world in Europe at least, and she went, and finally, the moment we all be waiting for, and I can tell you, all of us, we're sitting in the back, all exhausted because we've been competing for 3 days. Masters, we're going, hold on a minute, what do you mean finally? What about finally us as well? You know, we pay the same money to be here. And then one of the problems with that competition was, you know, for us masters, we got 1,000 euros, and the top guys got 10,000 euros, and we're going, something's not right. You know, I can understand the appeal of the younger people to come and see, you know, bigger names, you know, CrossFit world, which, by the way, I don't follow any of them. I never did. And because they don't follow me either. They don't know who I am. So I'm going to be honest, I have no idea who's in the top 5 in the world now, in the elite. And and you kind of feel a little bit insulted, you know, when you see these guys, you know, fair enough, they're very good. So are we, for our age group, you know, so why should they get more money than us?
Right, we'll start campaigning right now. No,
yeah.
but
I've done it for a long time.
you're absolutely right, and I think that is, you know, that's been such kind of the appeal for these competitions.
Yeah.
And even, you know, speaking with Emma and Mandy as to kind of, well, why did you? Because it's a huge amount of work for them to put on the competition.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, why, you know, why do it? And it was that kind of, well, we didn't find anything there for it. There wasn't that thing there for us, or there wasn't that thing there for the teens as well.
Yeah.
And why not? They work just as hard. They train just as hard.
Yeah.
You know, they've got more excuses not to train, but they still train. And you know, and you're going back to your point earlier of it also gives them something, because yes, you can, you know, it's good, especially the older we get. It's really important that we keep training, that we stay healthy. You know, life throws at more obstacles, and you need to keep fit and healthy. But you're right, without having kind of a goal, it can be quite difficult to be just like, well, I'm just training to be fit and healthy.
I'm sure a lot of people do. I can't. I personally can't do it. I've tried. And I think, you know, like I said before, this confinement is giving. I think more people are aware now how fitness is important in our lives, because, you know, being months and months at home doing nothing, just drinking wine and eating pizza, is not good for you, and we all know that.
What?
I mean, it's not bad for you either.
Antonio, what are you saying?
We need to exercise, you know, at the same time. Just sitting, and I've done it. You know, seeing my business being closed for 2 months, not knowing what's going to happen. You know, my partner was very disciplined. He set up a mini box downstairs in the garage, and he was going every day for 3 hours, disconnect. I couldn't do it. So I was basically just eating pizza and drinking wine every day, because you're so down. But, you know, but then you realize, you know, this is crazy. And this is how important fitness is important for your mental health and for your physical health as well. So, and I think a lot of people now, and I see from new clients coming to our box now as well, but they sort of realize that it is important to stay fit all year round, not just to look good in the swimsuit, you know, to go to the beach, you know, a month before the season starts, but, you know, keep fit the whole year round. And it's the same for me, you know, my goal is that, you know, staying fit my age, and, you know, trying to look good, and, you know, for my partner, for everybody else, and for me, and staying fit, and having competitions in mind, you know, even if I do 1 or 2 a year from now, because of my age category, obviously there's not much offer around, and, you know, maybe go down a little category, down one category, and, you know, carry on competing the way I like. But yeah, it's, for me, it's a reason to get up and train, and, you know.
Nice. It sounds like you've got a plan. Sounds like it works for you as well.
Yeah.
Well, Antonio, it's been really interesting chatting to you, just kind of hearing your experience, and you know, obviously you've had quite an international flavor of CrossFit. You've been able to travel around and experience it, but it's great to see that, you know, you're not letting age stop you. You're going to keep competing at
Cheers, mate.
Arguably a very high level. And yeah, I hope that you can, despite how good the Masters athletes are getting, that you're still going to be in that top 6. You're going to make it over to Southampton.
I hope. I'm going to work really hard on it. And I hope to see you all in September.
I hope to see you as well. Thank you everyone for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel so you can see the future interviews with other athletes that we'll have. We thank you, Antonio, again for his time, and we'll see you all in the next video.